was born on November 28, 1757, in London, where he lived most of his life. Blake was first educated at home, chiefly by his mother. His parents encouraged him to collect prints of the Italian masters, and in 1767 sent him to Henry Parr's drawing school. At the age of 14, Blake was apprenticed for 7 years to the engraver James Passier.
The first day of apprenticement, I just knew that this kid was something special. Something more than just the ordinary kid. Just the way he intently watched and learned. I just knew.
Blake soon started to produce watercolors and engrave illustrations for magazines. Later, in 1783, at the age of 26, he found and married his wife, Catherine Boucher.
Well, my husband taught me how to draw and paint, and I became his close assistant. We soon opened a print shop with William's brother, Robert, but Robert died 3 years later, and well, that was the end of that.
Blake's knack for writing poetry also became evident at an early age. His first poems were written in his 12th year, while sitting under a tree on one beautiful spring day. An ingenious light bulb lit up in William's head.
I thought, what if I took both of my talents and combined the two into one? Why not make poetry not only a verbal work of art, but also a visionary work of art?
Thus began Blake's unique trademark, illuminated printing, a process of engraving poems and relating pictures on metal plates, and then hand coloring the prints made from them. One well-known example of illuminated printing is Blake's largest collection of engravings, the Book of Job. It was written in 1825 and had some of the most beautiful words by Blake, but it was his art that made this epic unique. His main themes were good versus evil and the search for man's identity. He made 21 watercolors for the Book of Job. This was a very huge task to take on, but Blake was determined. Although Blake's idea of combining his two talents may have sounded like a good one, it did not satisfy the demands of the general public in the late 18th and early 19th century. Most of his work was received with very little attention.
This guy's messed up, he's retarded, he doesn't make any sense, he's a jerk. So I gotta say...
We have one word to say about him. Psycho.
William Blake, that guy sucks. I think he's boring, he's confusing. I don't even know if he's even writing in English.
I too had a hard time understanding his poetry, so I asked him one day where he'd come up with this stuff.
I told her if we see with imagination, we see all the things in the infinite. But if we only see with reason, we see only ourselves. I know that this world is a world of imagination and vision.
Blake displays this in his book of poems, Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience. His most famous poem, The Tiger, was part of his Songs of Experience. Let's take a closer look.
Tiger, tiger, burning bright, in the forest of night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful sin trap? And what distant deeps or skies burn the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? What the hammer, what the chain, and what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what dead grasp dare directly tear his clasp? When the stars threw down their spears and watered heavens with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the land make thee? Tiger, tiger, burning bright, in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful sin tried?
As seen in The Tiger, Blake's poems were long, flowing lines with violent energy, combined with aphoristic clarity and moments of lyric tenderness.
When I read this poem for the first time, I was so moved by the message that it presented that it almost brought a tear to my eye. Thank you, sweetie.
In 1790, Blake radically sided with the Satan in Milton's Paradise Lost and attacked conventional religious views in a series of aphorisms in The Marriage of Heaven and Hell. In the Book of Los, which was completed in 1795, Blake gives the spirit of prophecy and creativity, which depicted Los as the hero of the prophecies. In 1818, Blake started to enjoy the admiration of a group of young disciples. Among Blake's later artistic works are drawings and engravings for Dante's Divine Comedy and the 21 illustrations to the Book of Job, which were completed when he was almost 70 years old.
I thought that maybe I could finally get out of poverty now that I had some fans, but yeah, that didn't happen.
Independent through his life, Blake left no debts at his death on August 12, 1827. He was buried in an unmarked grave at the public cemetery of Bunhill Fields.
There is no doubt that William Blake was mad. But one characteristic of the man himself shines through clearly. The optimism sustained by his continuous joy and the one continued vision of his art.
He was a man without a mask. His aim single, his path straightforward, and his wants few. So you see, he was free, noble, and happy.
Not only did Blake impact literary analysts, but he also touched the lives of many who live today.
William Blake has definitely changed my life. I was going through some hard times last semester. My grades were pretty bad. My girlfriend dumped me. My dog ran away. And then I read some Blake poetry, and it just changed my whole perspective on things. And now I have a new outlook on life, and I thank him for that. Thank you, Mr. Blake.
Did you know that William Blake was one of the greatest poets that ever lived? His poetry has really made my life.
I'm reading a poem right now, and yeah, it's great. Because I'm going through some hard times right now, and well, it's one of the greatest poetry ever. Well, you guys should really read it.
Yes, I want to put my arm around my good friend William Blake, man of great literary stature during his time and even during our own time. Blake's influence continues to be felt throughout the literary world. Anyone who enjoys poetry and has ever felt the inspiration to draw or paint or etch in response to the poetry they've read is feeling the spirit of William Blake. I also, we remember William Blake here in G3 with this poster that's right up here. That's a much younger Michael Jordan in his soaring days who quotes William Blake, "No bird soars too high if he soars with his own wings." And certainly William Blake was a man who soared with his own wings. We miss him a lot, but we're certainly thankful for all these letters.
If Blake was living today, it is certain he would be seen with a satisfied, complacent smile, knowing he has truly touched the lives of many. Although we cannot enjoy the presence of this literary master today, we still can cherish his poetic works of art that will last for eternity.